Hey, are you looking to hire your first employee for your digital business? Don't know where to start and what to look for? Today's video is going to be exactly for you because I'm going to cover exactly how to find your first employee, what are some of the mistakes you should be avoiding, how to onboard them, how to structure their workload, and how to know if you have a good employee. Welcome to my channel. My name is Simeon, Krastev, founder of SK Group, a portfolio of different companies leveraging digital media to grow online. And in today's video, I'm sharing my lessons finding my first employee and what are some of the mistakes I did along the way. The chances are, if you're just launching your online business, the time has come that you now are looking to hire someone and it's always too late. Always the first hire is one that is pressed based on an urgent need that you have in your business. You simply can't take more workload. You feel that you're gonna just explode, or there's certain things within your business that you can no longer manage, so you're looking for someone to take off that workload. And if you're like me, the first hire was a rush one, meaning that I just needed someone to be hired as soon as possible. So I put a job posting on Facebook and I got 2 candidates and I immediately hired them because I didn't have a process on how to find the best candidates, how to filter them, how to see if they have the right skill set, would they be a fit for my style of work and the scope of work they need to be doing. And it was a costly mistake because it took me a couple of years to work with those people before I actually figured out what is a process. And it wasn't until actually my 3rd or 4th hire until I figured out how to step by step identify who are going to be the A players, who are going to be the producers, and who are going to be able to match what I'm looking for and be able to take a lot of the core work that I have within my organization. So first and most important thing before you hire your first employee, don't rush it. Now, the number one mistake I did in the beginning is that I didn't have enough volume of applications, so I couldn't get a clear picture of what are the skill sets, the variety of people out there, and also what are the compensation requests of all those people. So this is always a beginner's mistake, because if you've come from a corporate world, just like I was working for a different company full-time and now moving on to my own, I didn't really know that in order to find a good candidate, you gotta vet through a lot of people. So this is a mistake that a lot of people make in the beginning. They just get a few candidates, kind of see which one is the best, and then they just go with it. So first, just get a huge volume of applicants to go through a process. And ideally, in my case, I would put a 15 question survey that was easy to answer, so a lot of people could participate. But based on their answers, I could see their way of thinking, I could see their proactiveness, I could see whether they would go the extra mile. And this step really vetted a lot of people, because let's say I would get 100 applicants for a job, only maybe 60% would fill out the actual form with the open-ended questions and the answers I have. So immediately I knew that the other 40 people wouldn't be a good fit. And amongst those 40 people, there were a lot of great people with great CVs. And if I would use my previous experience and I would just go based off of that, I wouldn't have a potential good candidate. So this was number one. Now, the pre-screening processes, as I suggested, would include some form of open-ended questions, also some assignments, so I can see whether they're capable of doing the work and would they require extra monitoring on my end, extra hand holding or support, or are they independent and based on just direction be able to do the actual task and complete the project. So this was really helpful to me, as if you're a digital business and you're hiring your first employee, the chances are you want them to do everything and you want them to do a lot of things. So you're looking for an independent thinker that is extension of you and can just grab your ideas and start executing and implementing. So this is a super hard person to find. That's why you need to spend the extra time to go through these steps. Now, the second thing I was looking for is natural abilities and talents. So in the beginning, I needed someone that was really good in front of a video, cameras. I needed to put a lot of tutorials together. So I was looking for somebody that already had that skill set and had presented themselves on social media and is comfortable in front of a camera. And also I was looking for somebody who's a go-getter, somebody who's really committed and on time. And after the 60 applicants that I got the first time, the second step was for them to reply to an email, long email that I sent with an assignment that took about 5 minutes to do. But what I wanted is somebody who was actually going fast at it. So what I did is, out of the 60 applicants, 10 replied within 24 hours with a prompt reply to the email, doing the assignment. So that immediately vetted another 50 out, because I need somebody who's working on the fly, getting stuff done. That was particular need for my business at the time. So make sure when you're designing their job scope that you have assignments that are gonna match the criteria you're gonna be looking for when they start executing and performing in their job. Another thing that I wasn't looking for in the beginning were their core traits. So my business being really a lot of customer facing operations, where we'd be calling them on the phone, contacting them via Messenger, or just sending messages on social media, the first 2 hires I had were introverts. And what I really needed is somebody who's super extroverted, contacts with a lot of people. So immediately, based on their core traits, they would have been able to do the job because they had the skills, but their core traits wouldn't allow for them to perform at the highest possible level. So make sure that you have also what is the personality that you need for that particular job. If it's like a media buying person for your company, it could be an introverted person. If it's design, again, could be introverted person. If it's somebody who's customer facing and needs to talk to people all the time, the chances are you need someone who's extroverted. So make sure you put that into account. So what I did is I added 4 personality tests within the interview process, and they would fill the Myers-Briggs test, the 5 core strengths personality test, and they would do a bunch more little tests and assignments just so I can see whether they would be a good match for what I'm looking for. And this really allowed me to further vet the participants. So now out of 100, I would be left with 5 people. And then we move on to the real deal and the way we proceed with the work. Now, the next step I would do is give these 5 people a longer assignment that is a paid assignment. So I would pay all 5 of them. It would be a one-off consulting basis. So I would just pay them a fixed amount to perform a certain task within a certain time frame, and then I would see how they do at the job that I've given them. And it could be something simple as put together like a social media graphic, or design a page on Facebook from scratch and do the design, logo, and everything from Canva. And I would just give them like a basic information, what I'm looking for to accomplish, such as it's going to be a gardening website, and the core target is women over 55, based in Australia, or whatever is the task that I'm looking for in that particular moment. But I would give them that little assignment, and I would pay all 5 of the participants, and I would see how they come back. Were they able to perform the task independently of me? So that's super important. Did they come back with questions? Did they rationale what they did? Are they able to stand their ground and explain why they did certain things and the way they did it? How fast they did the job? Do they have good attention to detail? So all these things filter out, and usually by the time I'm complete with all the steps within that process, I'm left with 1 or 2 people. So it's a no-brainer to hire them. Then I would put together a contract, and usually within a digital business, you don't want to put a longer form contract that kind of puts you in jail for 2 years and is very restrictive. But what I would do is put a year-long contract with a 3-month trial period, and usually within the 3-month trial period, they're paid a certain amount, which is a little bit less than what they would get after the 3 months. And also after the 3 months, they're allowed to have a performance base and bonuses based on the task they're completing. So if it was the graphic design, I would say if you complete X amount of graphic design pieces for the month, or these graphic designs that you complete generate a certain amount of engagement within the Facebook groups or the social media channels we use them for, you're going to be paid extra. So this incentive makes sure that they're just as invested into my business as I am, and it allows them to have a room for growth because people love that. So what I'm looking for a first hire is usually an independent thinker that matches the core personality traits for the role, that can complete tasks on time, and is usually fast and go-getter, and can take ideas and quickly deconstruct them and implement them. Another thing that I'm looking for is somebody who is growth-oriented, somebody who's going to be willing to go the extra mile and would be incentivized based on performance. Now, again, as I said in the beginning, the first hire is usually an extension of you. So you want to make sure that you really spend the time to hire the right person, because if you do the mistake I did, you're going to end up with having people that you just have to carry on your back and babysit and handhold and explain every step of the way what they have to do. And if you don't, they just don't do it. And you don't want to be in that position in the early days, because you're going to realize that even though you just hired a person, you have twice as much their workload as you had in the beginning. So that's super important. Now, the second thing is onboarding. So how you would onboard them. In the beginning, I didn't have really an onboarding process. So I would just kind of, delegate the tasks that I didn't want to do. And I didn't realize that these people might not know how to do the task. They didn't know what is the clear expectation they had to complete, but it's completely normal as you're just starting out in business. You have no idea how to manage people, how to handle communication. So as time went by, I improved upon that process. So now we have an onboarding process where we sit down together with each and every person that's onboarded in the team. We spend 3 hours crafting a vision for them and themselves within the company and their evolution. What are the skills they're going to learn, how they're going to improve over time, where they see themselves, and also what is expected of them. I give them a priority list of all the tasks they're going to be doing. What is the completion time? Is it 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours? Is it a weekly task? I also give them an ongoing task so they have something to do when there's no other stuff for them to do, because the last thing you want is to have your employees sitting by the side and thinking of other stuff, because if you don't keep them occupied, their mind will drift somewhere else and they'll start looking for other opportunities just because they don't feel valuable enough within your company. So that's also important, to just give them like a career path within your job. And even if it's a beginner's position, such as a virtual assistant or something that is like just a starting position and might not look as a career that, you know, could last 30 years, as long as you provide the vision for their future, what they're gonna learn and how they're gonna excel at the company, they're gonna be super, super excited. Another thing I realized working with over dozens of employees now is that the people that are A players from month one are gonna stay A players, and the people that are C players from month one are gonna stay C players. So pretty much the first month within the company is gonna tell you how this employee is gonna perform at all times. So what I would suggest is hire slow, go through all the steps, and then make sure that you're protected within that 3-month trial period. So after the 3 months, you can just say, hey, it didn't quite work out. Or if you're more aggressive, you could just fire them straight away, because within the 3-month period, there's no obligation on either side. So this is super important also to keep in mind. It's going to be super hard if you have to fire your first employee, but in the long run, finding one good person that can take a lot from your plate and is a go-getter, independent thinker, and executor is going to save you a lot of troubles along the way. And it's also going to set up your culture for your company as you start growing in the future and you hire more employees. So these are some of the tips that I learned along the way. Hope you find them helpful. Hope you don't make some of the mistakes I did. And if you have any questions on hiring your first employee for a digital business, you don't know where to get started, just comment down below and I'll send you all the links and resources, everything I mentioned in this video, so you can make sure that you find the best person to fit the needs of your business. So if you're in digital marketing, you love media buying or e-commerce or digital businesses in general, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. And let me know in the comments below what you're up to these days, because it really helps me know what you're up to, and I'm going to be sharing a lot more videos on these topics. So thank you so much for tuning in, and excited to have you staying with me until the very end.